Hello, everybody, and thank you very much for joining me on episode 55 of Untold Evidence. Today, we're in the UFO world again with some names I probably can't pronounce, so bear with me. We're going to start the 30th of March, 1990, in the late evening. A gendarmerie patrol in Wallonia, the French-speaking south of Belgium, calls the control reporting centre at Glons. They report three lights forming a near-perfect equilateral triangle in the sky above them. Multiple gendarmeries on the ground confirm it. At 11 minutes to 12 local time, a NATO radar facility at Supersonic also detects an unknown target. At 5 past midnight on the morning of the 31st of March, two F-16 fighter jets the Belgian Air Force are scrambled from the airbase at Petit-Rechain. Over the next hour, the two F-16s will repeatedly attempt to lock their radar onto the object that descends 4,000 feet in 20 seconds, accelerates from 240 to 1,800 kilometers per hour without producing a sonic boom, and registers in 4 separate radar lock-ons at a calculated altitude below ground level. This is Untold Evidence, and we're going to go through one of the most thoroughly documented government UFO investigations in Western European history. The Belgian UFO wave runs from the 29th of March 1989 to roughly April of 1990, and it begins on Wednesday evening in eastern Belgium. Two gendarmerie patrolmen near the village of Petit-Rechain report a massive triangular object hovering at treetop level. They described a span of around 100 to 200 meters, 3 or 4 bright corner lights, faint emissions in the center, no engine noise, no heat signal, and after several minutes of motionless hovering, the object accelerates away at extreme speed. Now, this is a story we've heard before. This is consistent with many other sightings in the same realm. Now, in the weeks that follow, similar reports come in across from Wallonia and Flanders. Most described as slow-moving, silent, dark triangular craft with bright corner lights. Over the course of the wave, the Belgian Society for the Study of Space Phenomena, known as the SOBEPS, collects more than 2,600 written witness statements. 2,600. The total number of people reported sightings exceeds over 13,500. The witness pool includes police officers, military personnel, an army colonel, civil engineers, and ordinary residents of dozens of the Belgian towns. The witness pool is unusually well documented. Lieutenant Colonel André Benet of the Gendarmerie filed an official report. Army Colonel André Armand, in December 1989, described a craft with pulsating lights from his own personal observations. Multiple gendarmerie patrols on different nights in different parts of the country produced reports that aligned on a small set of recurring details: silent operation, large triangular form, 3 or 4 bright corner lights, low altitude, slow apparent speed, occasionally followed by extreme acceleration. Now, what makes the Belgian wave different from most US UFO clusters is the response of the Belgian government. The Belgian Air Force did not deny the reports. It did not classify the data. Instead, then Colonel Wilfred de Brouwer of the Belgian Air Force opened formal cooperation with the SOBEPS, the Civilian Research Organization. And over 3 years, the joint investigation produced a 2-volume scientific report running to over 1,000 pages. No conventional explanation. Military exercises, civil aviation, weather phenomena, secret aircrafts, hoaxes, or even hallucinations adequately accounted for the evidence. That investigation is to this day the most extensive official government investigation into a UFO event ever conducted by a Western nation. The single most documented night of this wave is the 30th to the 31st of March 1990. At 10 to 11 on the 30th of March, gendarmerie patrols across central and southern Belgium report a triangular formation of 3 lights. The Glons radar facility, designated CRC, the Control Reporting Centre, picks up an unknown target. So does the NATO radar at Somazake. So does the traffic control radar at Beauchesne. At 5 minutes past 12 on the 31st of March, 2 F-16s are scrambled to Beauchesne. The pilots make multiple attempts to acquire visual contact, and they do not succeed. Their radar systems do occasionally lock on. The flight data, later released in full by the Belgian Air Force in a chronological public report, contains figures that are very difficult to reconcile with any known aircraft in that period. In one sequence, the object descends from 9,000 feet to 5,000 feet in approximately 20 seconds. That is a sustained vertical velocity that would impose G-forces well beyond the survival threshold of any human pilot. Let that sink in. In another sequence, the radar registers an acceleration from 240 kilometers per hour to over 1,800. Supersonic, in an atmosphere without sonic boom that should accompany such a transition. The pursuit lasts approximately an hour. The objects evade both ground radar continually and the F-16 radars. No visual contact is ever established by the pilots. The radar tapes survive. 3 weeks later, in April 1990, an amateur photographer in the same Petit-Rechain area captures what becomes the iconic image of the wave, a black triangular object with 3 bright corner lights against a dark sky. Now the part that complicates the case. In July 2011, the photographer who took the famous Petit-Rechain image went on a Belgian television, on the network RTL, and admitted the photographs were a hoax. The triangular object was styrofoam model with 3 flashlights suspended on a string. Reuters covered the confession. The single most circulated image of the Belgian UFO wave was fabrication. The hoax confession does not, however, resolve the broader case. The photograph was never the primary evidence. The primary evidence was the radar data, the gendarmerie reports, and the F-16 telemetry, none of which depends on the photograph. The substantive, sceptical critique of the Belgian wave focuses elsewhere. Atmospheric researchers point out that some of the radar lock-ons during the F-16 chase produce calculations placing the object at a negative altitude, that is, below ground level. That is a known signature of radar artifacts caused by a phenomenon called Bragg scattering, in which atmospheric layers of varying refractive index produce false returns. The civilian researcher Gilmard and Salmon proposed in their 1995 analysis of some of the radar data was likely caused by the so-called angles rather than physical craft. The SOBEPS and Belgian Air Force investigators have largely accepted that some of the F-16 radar data is consistent with atmospheric artifact. They have not accepted that all of it is. The visual reports across thousands of witnesses, the multiple ground radar correlations, and the residual unexplained kinematic data have not been reduced to atmospheric phenomena by any subsequent analysis. The Belgian Air Force has officially excluded, quote, stealth test flights, AWACS aircraft, conventional balloons, and holographic projections as the candidate explanation. A contemporaneous United States Department of Defense memorandum confirmed that the Belgian commanders had verified there were no Belgian Air Force test aircrafts involved. NATO interest in the case was real and documented. The honest reading is that photography was a hoax. Parts of the radar data are likely atmospheric artifact, and a substantial residue of the case remains completely unresolved. So that is the Belgian UFO wave, a 6-month period in which 13,500 witnesses, multiple police forces, multiple ground radar systems, and 2 scrambled F-16 fighter jets recorded sightings that the Belgian government, after 3 years of formal investigation, was unable to explain through any conventional course. One iconic photograph turned out to be a styrofoam model. Some of the radar turned out to be atmospheric. The remainder, the witnesses, the ground correlations, the kinematic profile, remains by the official record of NATO unidentified. If this episode's been useful, please hit the like and subscribe. Drop a comment if we've misinterpreted or misrepresented anything that you know of, and let us know your opinion of what the hell's going on here. Does the Petit-Rechain hoax change how you weigh the rest of the Belgian wave evidence? Thank you very much for joining us on Untold Evidence. This has been episode 55, and we're going to see you in the next one, 56.